Hello everyone, it's your host for Jet Black One Only, here with another exciting live stream. In this video, I'm going to be going over the Immortal Men issue number 2. This issue actually is pretty interesting. As always, I'm going to go over my pros, cons, and notes. For this, of course, spoilers are here. It's all like my subjective opinion about how I felt about the book, what I thought were its best moments, what I thought were its worst moments, and a few notes that I took over the course of reading it. I did reread issue 1 after reading issue 2. So I had already read issue 1, and I had tried to get a refresher after issue 2, so I could put a few more thoughts and ideas together. So I hope you all enjoy. This is the Immortal Men number 2. And because this is spoiler filled, a big part of what I do with these videos is I just jump right in. I assume that you've already read the issue yourself, so this is just me talking about my thoughts on it, not me giving an overall summary of what the book is about. So it's not a review, it's more a discussion that we can have together in the comment section below once you've completed watching this video. So pros. Great way of introducing the characters. I really like that the Infinite Woman is talking with Hunt, who is an Immortal Man that was introduced in the issue before, and as she's asking, like, why would the Immortal Man pick these individual immortals? Tell us more about them so we can understand what he might be planning. And Hunt goes, I have no idea why he would pick them. And then he goes to describe each of them very quickly, but in like a good amount of detail, to where you get a good idea of what everyone is capable of and what their background is. There's a big focus on Reload in particular, but I would like to learn more personally about Ghost Fist, because I feel like Ghost Fist is really cool. I really like Reload's time subtraction and Ghost Fist's ghost energy powers. I think they're both really cool. I also want to learn more about Ghost Fist back in the day, back in like Harlem, and him fighting in the Prohibition era, because I do think really jazzy superheroes from back in the day are like a cool concept. So I would like to see more of that. I also like the way his powers are described, that he pulls like this ghost-like energy from the air, and he can use it to empower his attacks and even to teleport small groups of people large areas. I would really like to see Ghost Fist do things like focus some energy into his fist, punch someone really hard, and then also teleport them away. I feel like he could do both, but I don't think we've seen anything like that yet from him. So I'm hyped to see that in the future. Then, when it comes to Reload's time subtraction ability, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I really like it, but I think it's weird that he uses a gun that only has one bullet in it. I get the idea that he, like, shoots the gun, it fires off, and then after the bullet fires, he subtracts time, and he, like, puts the bullet back in the gun, so he can shoot the same bullet 100 times. But wouldn't Reload be even more effective if he, instead of shooting the same bullet 100 times, had like a machine gun or something? Like something that just had a lot of bullets, so that when he fires off like the whole gun, he can just keep doing that infinitely. He's essentially doing the same thing with the one bullet situation, but I'd say the big difference is that if Reload, for whatever reason, suddenly didn't have access to his powers, he wouldn't be a guy running around with a gun that only had one bullet in it. It just seems like if Reload is incapacitated and someone tries to use his gun, they'll be like, oh, there's only one bullet. Like, I'm not sure if that's to his benefit, the idea that someone couldn't take his gun and use it against him necessarily, or if it hurts him to not be able to, like, shoot more bullets without using his powers. I don't know. I also would like to see Reload do more with that ability, because I like it for the concept of, like, I can use it to reload a gun, but I would love to see him use it in more creative ways over the course of the series. So that would be really cool. I don't have any cons for this at all. I'm still in pros though. I have one more pro. I really like Kills and Purity. Impurities are what they call abilities in this book. And Kills and Purity is he can turn who he's killed into like a bloodless minion. So he claims that like their soul goes beyond and they go into the afterlife. Um, they don't have any blood in their body, and they're just like these weird deformed monsters. And I like the idea that he took Caden, the main character, like his parents, and turned them into bloodless. They're helping streamline a lot of things because otherwise it would be a situation where it would be like, oh, how is Caden gonna like do school and all this other stuff and be a superhero? I feel like they're gonna balance all that out to where like you don't have to worry about his parents anymore because they're turning to bloodless, and it's possible that his parents could be revealed to be okay. Like maybe there's a way to like reverse the bloodless thing. I feel like there are a lot of story options they have to where they can get around them being turned into bloodless. But at the same time, it gives them a lot of cushion to where they can just have the parents not be in the story for a little bit. So I dig that. So some notes, like I said, powers seem to be called impurities, and these impurities seem to be impurities in the immortal's blood based on clues given in issues 1 and 2. So it seems like if you have this impurity in your blood, it makes it where you don't die, and also gives you some kind of special ability. So that's cool. I imagine that the concept of bloodless is like a direct counter to that. Like, if you don't have any blood, then you can't have the blood impurity, so you can't be immortal, kind of thing. At least that's what I believe is the case. Then another note that I have is the immortals seem to be split into houses with different roles, and they seem to have had treaties that were set up that separated the different houses. So the treaties would be like, don't interact with like the human world in like a really obvious way, and blah 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 blah. And it seems like a big part of the Immortals book is that these treaties have been broken. This issue didn't focus a lot on Caden. Caden is supposedly the big main character, our introduction to the Immortal Men, and he has a power that he refers to as swiping, where when he touches someone, he gets like a memory or moment from their life. And Caden supposedly is going to be this big hero who's going to be the one to save the day in the end. I don't fully understand how Caden's swiping powers could be so good unless it's going to be like, oh man, without Caden's swipe, you know, we would have all lost in some way. Because it doesn't seem that good. Like, either Caden has more powers or his swiping ability will evolve and he'll just be able to do more things with it. His swiping ability reminds me of like psychometry, like the idea that if you touch like a person or an object, you can feel things about it. So I feel like maybe it will evolve to become more of a thing in the future. But it doesn't seem nearly as good as Hunt's power. Hunt has a power that allows him to like smell your blood, and he can know everything about you. He'll be like, oh, so you've been an immortal for like this many years, and like here's your background, and here's what your powers are, and people used to call you this nickname, like. So it's really dumb. Like, Hunt's power lets him know a lot just from smelling you, but a lot more than he should. And even Stray has like beast-like powers that let him smell, and he can know a lot from like a tracking point of view. But Hunt seems to be like general knowledge about you, like, oh, got it, smelled your blood. And that seems significantly more effective than the swipe power that Caden has. So I'm interested in seeing how Caden's swipe power could possibly be so vital. I imagine the Immortal Man picked Stray, Reload, Ghost Fist, Timber. I think it's just 4 Immortal Men. And Caden. He probably picked them because for whatever reason their powers together work really well. Timber can become... She can augment her size. I don't know if she can become small. I don't think we've seen that yet. But we know she can at the very least grow large. I actually still have the comic over here. Let's see. She can manipulate her size and density at will. So that implies that Timber should be able to become small if it's like that generic. So Timber can grow really big or really small or really dense or really light. which implies Timber might be able to fly. Super strength seems to be something she'd be capable of doing. Of course, she can grow really large. She could potentially grow really large, but lower her density. So it's like an inverse effect. She could be like giant, but then be like floating in the air. So that's a cool concept. So Timber, Ghost Fist, I already told you about his ghost energy thing. I really like the idea that he can like hit people with it and or teleport people with it. Well, I say and or. It could be like mutually exclusive. Stray is a cryptid, and we don't understand what Stray does. Based on Stray's state of mind, they can be hostile or docile. Ooh, that tells me nothing. Based on your state of mind, you can be mad or calm. Like anybody can do that. That's how being mad or being calm works, right? Um, but when it's hostile, it seems like Stray has claws, and I don't know if Stray always has like great senses or not. But it would be interesting to see how all these powers work together because there isn't, I guess, an obvious way that they can all work together. Reload and Ghost Fist I can see working together because if Ghost Fist is pulling the ghost energy from the air and using it in his strikes, it seems like Reload could be like, oh, you can always just use the same energy you pulled. Like, I'll just recycle it for you. So you don't have to keep pulling energy. Because let's say he's in an area and there's like a finite amount of ghost energy around or something like that. Reload can be like, oh, well, you can always just use the same ghost energy and you don't have to continually pull it from the environment, so that you can manipulate the same power in different ways. And now, if you want to pull energy from the environment, you can pull in with the old energy, so you always get like a plus. That'd be cool. Ghost Fist is good in general just for being able to remove enemies from the battlefield by teleporting them. To be able to transport his allies to get them out of harm's way. He has a strength boost to make him competent. So I really like Ghost Fist. He just has a lot of like solid potential on his own. Reload seems alright. I imagine if Reload is injured, he can just be like, oh, I subtract time from myself and now I like heal. So Reload potentially has like a healing factor. He can continually reload his bullets. He can do the opposite to a healing opponent. Like if his opponent is like harmed and then does something to heal themselves, I imagine he could reverse their time and it's like, now you're injured again and you used up your healing item so you don't have it kind of thing. Um, Reload definitely could be used to heal one of his companions if they're injured. I could see that. He could just be like, oh, I can kind of do like a medic role not only for myself but for others. Um, Stray is really good for tracking. So if Ghost Fist is like, I need to get to someone, but I don't know where they went, Stray could track them down. Um, Other than that, I don't know much of a role that Stray has that like the other members can't fulfill. And Timber seems like she'd be really good as not only muscle, but becoming very small can be a nice espionage kind of thing, being able to sneak in places. Um, so that's definitely like a cool power. But like I said, I want to know what Caden's going to be able to offer to the team because it seems like the team is just significantly better than Caden, and they're going to be underwhelmed when they learn what Caden is capable of, unless that's just one of many of Caden's powers. Um, there's just no music. That's really weird. Yeah, that happens sometimes. So, yeah. I'm excited for the next Immortal Men. I really like the first issue. I feel like the second issue was better. The first issue wasn't bad at all, but it focused a lot on Caden. They were trying to get you used to having Caden be like a front man for the book. But as you read more about the Immortal Men and you learn more about them, it's like, well, the Immortal Men already are like really interesting, and you don't necessarily need Caden. But I understand for younger readers, Caden will be a great way to like connect and relate to the book and be like, oh, like I'm like a teenage boy, like I understand teenage boy problems. Oh, everyone has like that desire to be special. Like you can relate to him. Um, but I still, if he's gonna be the character I relate to, I feel like he better be like good. Like he should have like something really cool that he can do. But I get that they also have introduced this concept of like the campus, a place where the immortals learn how to like train their impurities and become better at using their powers. So Caden has a lot to learn and he'll develop over time. Um, so that'll be cool, seeing him potentially go to the campus and the immortal men have to train him to be better, and it turns out that like Caden's powers either are like just what we've seen, but they can be used in a very versatile like manner, or Caden has like a lot more that he can do beside the swipes, um, and that helps make up for like what he's capable of. Or it can be a thing where like the main way to get out of the conflict is using swipes, and none of the other immortal men abilities would have been like comparable enough to swipes in order for them to like succeed. I don't see that. Or maybe Caden's greatness is not his impurity, but instead like his mind. Like maybe he has a different way of thinking about things, and that allows him to use his ability better than like other people with similar abilities, like Hunt or maybe Stray, but not. I don't think so. um, but yeah, hype for Immortal Men issue number 3. Issues number 1 and 2 are both good. Like I said, number 2 focuses more on the Immortal Men proper, and it just was a more enjoyable book in general. Really liked learning the backstories about all the characters. The Bloodless were introduced in issue 1, but we didn't learn a lot about them, so I'm glad that we learned more about the Bloodless now. I do still want to see more of the Dark Knight Metal references. There was one in the first book, and I was like, oh, like that's interesting. Um, they don't really come up for real in the second book. The Justice League is mentioned, and I like the idea that the Immortal Men, for whatever reason, don't want to like mess with them. Like that's why do they decide to take a backseat to a lot of things? Um, is like an interesting question. But supposedly they say it the world all the time in secret, which I dig. I feel like the X-Men could benefit a lot from like the Immortal Men mentality, where it's like we don't try to like exist among the normal people. We separate ourselves, but we have our own society and we flourish and we save the world, but we just don't let people know what we're up to. The Immortal Men is essentially DC's X-Men, but I feel like they're doing a great job with these characters and with the story that they're telling so far, even if the story hasn't been fully revealed to us yet, considering we only have a couple issues. But yeah, thank you all for watching. In the description box of this video, I'll have a link to where you can read this issue of the comic yourself for free online if you so choose to do so. Thank you all for watching. If you have more that you would like to discuss, if you have any comments, concerns, questions, feel free to throw them in the comment section below, and we can continue this discussion there in the comments. Thank you all once again. If you like this video, make sure to like this video, favorite, comment, subscribe, and need anything, ring that bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black One Only, logging out. Peace.